All right. My name is James Stowe, and this is Epic Sketch Time 2006, number what? Seven? Number seven. Happy Sketch Time. And I am a cartoonist and illustrator, and I create the webcomic Sidekick Quests. And tonight I am joined by, right now, three other cartoonists and illustrators. Please introduce yourselves. Not all at once. All right, is seriously no one going to introduce themselves?
Fine, I'll go. My name is Brett Giuliano, and I'm the creator of the comic Dust Bunny Mafia.
My name is Pat. Yeah, my name is Pat McHugh, and I draw a comic called The Devil and Mr. Gandhi.
And we also are joined by Mark Monlux. Apparently there are two of them right now. I see two of them. This is really weird.
So,
All right, and for the next about an hour or so, we're going to be drawing pretty much whatever we want, fairly epically. Sometimes we talk a lot, sometimes we draw a lot and don't talk at all. We'll see how the night goes. So what are you guys working on tonight?
I'm just setting up, once again, another strip in my buffer. I'm currently working on a big detailed background based on some old factory on the waterfront in, I think, Europe.
Oh, wow. Now, can you share your screen?
Yeah, I just realized that. Then you can see what I'm doing.
Patrick, what are you working on?
I'm actually working on a kind of a mock-up of for a catalog. The company I work for makes rare book catalogs, and I'm doing kind of a mock-up for a potential sci-fi catalog in a kind of retro style.
Yeah, it's definitely got that look. And it looks like Mark is having a terrible time. He has joined and quit about 3 or 4 times. And I'm just going to be drawing some really cheesy superhero stuff tonight, I think, for my Mutants and Masterminds campaign tomorrow. Although I should be working on other things.
Other things such as client work or sidekick quests?
I've got the 200 page of Sidekick Quest coming up, and it's going to be double size, and it might be, I might do some painting stuff in it, visual painting stuff in it. So I should be working on that, because that's going to take a while, but I'm not.
And what is that, 2 weeks from now?
2 weeks from now, yeah. You know, my, excuse me, my social media director, my social media person, the person that helps me out, has suggested that I get on Project Wonderful, because apparently advertising is good for webcomics. It only took me 4 years to realize that. Are either of you guys on it?
What is it called?
Project
Wonderful.
Wonderful, isn't that what it's called?
Yeah.
Yep, Project Wonderful.
Not familiar with that one.
It's
like an eBay bid style system.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it is. So there's all sorts of different types of sized banners that you can bid on, and you basically set your budget, set how much you want to do per day, and or per week, or how long the campaign runs for, and then you kind of bid on other sites that you want to have your banner linked into, and it can range. There's all sorts of different uh, environments, and like you can bid on other webcomics to have it displayed there. You can do anyone who's affiliated with Project Wonderful.
Yeah, they have several different categories, not just webcomics. I was surprised by that. Yeah, I went ahead. Let me see if I have them up. Here we go. I made a bunch of banner ads today for it. There are all the different banner ads I made. So now it's just a matter of trying to figure out who and where I want to advertise on, and whether or not I want to set up banners on Sidekick Lists. I've always been fairly resistant for whatever reason to advertise on it. And again, I don't know if I have a good reason as to why that is. I figured it was always for kids, so I'm trying to maybe not advertise to children. I'm not sure. Maybe I just didn't want to make any money.
Well, while we're on the topic of advertising, I actually, let's see if I can pull it up here. I had the opportunity, so I took the opportunity to advertise with a small comic press in the Midwest called Source Point Press. And this is a place, one of the head guys over there, his name is Joshua Werner, very talented illustrator, does writing, does art, and kind of runs Source Point Press. So I took advantage of a good rate he gave me for advertising. And the comic, so I put in a full-page ad in a comic called Dead Duck by Jay Fosgitt, if you've heard of him. He's kind of...
Oh, yeah.
He just announced today that he's actually doing the art for Rocket Raccoon and Groot number 2 or 3. His kind of stock has been rising over the past couple of years, getting more mainstream work with Marvel and now DC. So kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going to see how it goes. I was also pleased. Somebody, I don't know if this is true or not, but I feel like if you upload a book digitally through Comixology, they kind of don't want you putting other people's advertising in that kind of format. Does that sound about right, or is that totally wrong? Does anybody know?
No, I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyway, the digital comic is available through Drive-Thru Comics, which I've bought comics through there previously. And it was just kind of cool because they actually released the digital version of it a bit early before the paper comics. So I got to see my ad today, which was kind of cool. And now I get to track it and see if anybody looks at it. So.
Sure. Do you have the link for that ad?
I've posted the ad a couple times just on like Twitter and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I can put it in after this kind of ends. I'll put a link to the comic on Drive-Thru Comics, and I'll post the actual ad that I placed as well.
Nice.
But I do very little in terms of advertising. So when you brought up that service / format that you were talking about, I'm like, what is that? What is it? Tell me more, because I just don't do much. The times that I've done advertising through like Comic Rocket and Ink Outbreak, while that was still running, it was pretty good. I mean, I paid, it wasn't that much money to get however many thousands of extra impressions, and my stats definitely went up every time that I paid for some additional advertising.
Yeah.
Now, did you find that you retained that traffic?
I don't keep well enough track to know.
Oh, yeah.
Again, I need to take like the seminar, like how to care about advertising for your webcomic.
Right. Yeah, I would have probably gone on blissfully without advertising if it wasn't for the person who's helping me out right now.
Yeah, I did some advertising with topwebcomics.com.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if either of you are on that. And
that's the big voting website, right?
yeah. They were running a special last year that was like something ridiculous. They were trying out a new ad platform, and it was like $15 for 30 days for a banner, like a little rectangle banner that ran through every page on their site, like in a sidebar. And I was like, 15 bucks? Okay, I can spend that.
Sure.
And I had it running. It was a week, a month long, and I had my stats were through the roof. Like,
nice.
I had a lot of new traffic. I think for about 6 weeks, so like a week on either end of the campaign, everything kept flowing in pretty consistently. And I know I gained some new readership. I don't know how much, but I know that people that since running those ads, I have more followers now. So
nice.
Now and this is going to sound like a really strange question, but is that kind of thing important to you guys?
I would like to, because I would like to monetize it eventually.
Right.
And I would love to actually get into, T-shirts and things like that, especially with playing off all the mobster culture. And, I could go along. There's a long history of movies and TV shows and everything that I could bank off of and use different tropes with. So I think it's still very profitable. So, but in terms of my actual getting people to my comic, it'd be nice, but I don't know if that's getting people there for readership is as important as the profitability side.
Sure.
I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, I would love for people to come straight for the comic, but
yeah, I'm right now just coming up with why I'm doing this stuff and why I've been doing it now because I probably when I started Sidekick Quest, I never thought, oh, I'm going to be doing this for at least 4 years, if not longer. I probably didn't think it had that kind of longevity. But now that I have been doing it for that long, I realize that, hey, I probably should have thought of a business model of some sort instead of I'm just writing this kind of from my kid, and if other people are reading it, that's great, which is what I have been doing. So this year I'm actually trying to do some legitimate stuff on purpose. Like I'm planning a Kickstarter for May because I figure 4 years is long enough to not have a print book of any kind.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree on that point. I was attending one of the Comic Cons in uh, September, not tabling, just walking around, and I got to chatting with a couple of artists, and they're like, "You have 3.5 years worth of source material. Put out a book. What is stopping you?"
Yeah.
So I've started working on that.
Oh, great.
But I think I'm actually going to go the print on demand route using Amazon's Create Space and try and just. Um, I don't know if I have a big enough following yet to actually get something funded through Kickstarter. So
The Amazon Create Space, I've been very. I don't have anything myself through there, but I've been very pleased with the results. I have one of Crispin Wood's Small Blue Yonder books that was printed through there, and it looks good. And at least one or two others that I know came from Amazon Create Space, and it's very convenient, easy to promote fellow creators that way too. I mean, just having the kind of the ease of purchasing of Amazon is a major bonus in terms of just dropping in a link and saying, "Hey, check out my buddy's comic," you know.
yeah.
Yes, I'm drawing a nice.
Sorry, what was that?
I said I'm drawing terribly nice.
Doesn't look that bad. So, James, with your Kickstarter, do you have a plan to?
Do I have a what?
Do you have a plan on how you're gonna execute it? Are you gonna go and have everything, all the artwork done beforehand?
Yeah,
Or-
everything is. I'm preparing everything beforehand. I want it all, at least the basic stuff the basic stuff I'm selling. I want that done and ready to go. I'm doing a reprint of the first storyline. I guess it's not a reprint. I've never printed it in the first place, but uh, I'm doing the first storyline in print, and then I'm adding some game materials that go along with that story, like an adventure that you can play along with it. So that's the idea of the Kickstarter.
Huh. So is it gonna be?
The book will be half comic and then half like game book. But that's always kind of been my model when I thought of Sidekick Quests.
Yeah.
That it is a role-playing game and webcomic for kids. So we'll see if that actually is something that grabs people's attention or not.
I mean, I would think you have appeal because you have both. There's been some hugely successful games on Kickstarter, especially the past couple of years.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, one recently just finished up. It's basically D&D, but with dogs, called Pugmire, and it did incredibly well. Like, crazy well. Like, it shouldn't have done as well as it did. But I guess, there are gamers, and there are people who love dogs, and there are gamers who love dogs.
Yep.
So there's definitely a market there.
And I mean, you have the comics and the gamers put together.
Right, which hopefully will also translate. But yeah, I'm putting together everything is the comic portion is in editing right now. And I updated all the art and text because I've changed quite a bit from what the comic used to look like and what the comic looks like now. So I don't know if what I did was kosher or not, but I updated the artwork so that I liked it now and not what it originally was then. I'm sure I'm breaking some kind of unwritten rule doing that, but
I don't know. I had that same struggle when I was first talking through putting my book together, and I was like, how much of it do I redo, if any, and update so it has my current style? Because it's changed a lot in 3.5 years. Like, at least I can see it. And
oh, I could definitely see. I mean, mine is definitely warped. So did you change it or did you not change it?
I left it alone except for things like panels, like the borders on panels. I'm making all of those consistent from this collection is going to have 200 strips. So from the first strip to the 200th, every panel is going to have the same color, size, weight, all of that. There were some that were missing, like the text changed a little bit. So I'm trying to make the colors consistent and things like that. And I even went in and changed a couple of the minor minor plots, like in a couple strips where I'm like, this character shouldn't know about this way back when. So I went in and revised a couple of strips that way, but other than that, I'm leaving it all the same and letting it progress. So.
Yeah, mine went, it's mostly coloring more than anything else. Like, I do a lot more toning now than I ever did when I first started. So in that respect, I went back and I kind of recolored everything. And when I first started, I used a really chunky font for everything, and I've since switched it over to a Google-friendly font called Mountains of Christmas. So I just re-lettered everything to Mountains of Christmas.
And I'm assuming you had them all, like, saved in Illustrator or something, so it wasn't
yes,
like...
everything is an Illustrator file. Although I found when I was redoing it, I had lost one. It just was gone. I don't know where it went. So I had to completely remake that page from scratch.
Yep, I found one of those too. Luckily, mine was only 3 panels.
Yeah, no, mine was slightly larger than that. And I've started redoing the second storyline too, and I've already run into one page that's just missing. Like, the file's there, but the page is just blank. Like, what did I do to this thing?
Yeah. The trouble I have is I normally use a prior strip and resave it, but I'll start working on an older strip.
I do the same thing.
Yeah. So I'm sure, like, that's what happened for the one that I wrote over, because I know all of a sudden it's a fairly basic scene, but I opened it up later. I'm like, hey, this is not the same strip at all. It's like one panel is the same. I'm like, what happened here?
Yeah, this is what my files look like. Basically what I'll do when I'm starting a new page is I will just take the current page, move it over to the past page, and then start drawing the new page. So I have at least what the last page looked like. And then I will begin to chop out pieces from the old page if I need them in the new page. That's generally how I work. And sometimes I forget to rename it before I save it. But that is luckily hasn't happened to the point where I don't immediately realize what I've done.
Yeah, I normally have. That's very creative. I didn't think of moving it, having 2 layouts open on the same.
I find that very, especially because I work in vector, so everything is modular. Like, everything is a piece that I can move around. So cloning becomes fairly easy at that point as well.
Yeah, I do the same thing. I work in vector and I'm an illustrator as well. So, but yeah, I normally have some files, just file folders open, and I can go back and just pop open a strip. I'm like, hey, I know this. I need to steal this pose from this one, and so I'll go back and then I'll make sure I'm referencing the right file. Then I'll just open it up.
Now, I've even gone as far as to create a kind of archive file where it's just layers upon layers of all the characters in different poses. I end up not ever really using that file, but I just like that I have it in case I run into a character and I'm just like, I just don't feel like drawing it. Maybe I'll just pull one of the old poses. But I find that I'm not all that consistent with size and shape of people. So sometimes people warp fairly quite a bit from one page or even one storyline to another.
Yeah, I
My characters tend to be very fluid.
The only kind of archived template I have is for the side views of my characters, because for the most part, I have them forward or backwards facing, and then rarely, I mean, I've started to incorporate them moving more over the past year or two, and so as if they're running or walking or what have you. But that's the only one that I have as like a template to look at and reference or copy from.
I don't often get to look at other vector artists' work while it's fascinating watching you do this.
Thank you. Yeah, as you can tell, I base a lot of my my artwork on real files or real places, real objects.
Now, do you ever live trace your reference?
No.
No.
Never. I've heard of it, but haven't used that tool. So this is how I learned, and so I kind of went with it.
It used to be really primitive, but they have really improved it over the generations. What are you on CC?
I'm on CS4.
Okay.
So
I would not recommend live tracing anything.
Okay.
But
yeah.
the tool has improved quite a bit over the generations. Like I'm on CC now, and the live tracer is pretty phenomenal.
Now, how is CC with all of the stuff I've heard about it, with like, not being able to access files randomly and it crashing, and how does it live up to?
Mine's rock solid. I don't have a problem with it crashing. And now with the latest version of CC, Illustrator finally has autosave.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, I can't tell you how happy I was that day.
Now, do you have the same functionality?
Now, do you draw? or do you just use? I'm just watching you make geometric shapes. Do you actually draw in Illustrator?
Um, as in like what you're doing?
Yes.
Well, it depends. I don't do it in the same way. I will. Well, I'm doing a background right now, so it's
Right, right.
a little bit more limiting. But generally, if I'll scan something in that I sketch out and then trace it, um, and that's how I'll do it. So, like, if I'm coming up with a new character, usually, or a weapon or something different or a strip maybe that's something different than what I've done, I'll thumbnail it out in my sketchbook, scan it in, and then retrace it or um, draw it out that way. But generally speaking, I have something, I trace generally what in Illustrator, what I've done sketching or what I've found.
I see. Yeah, I generally am not. I don't work traditionally much anymore. Like I don't actually put pen or pencil to paper anymore. If I'm going to sketch in the program, I'll just sketch. And then what I'll usually do is here. Wait a minute, I actually have an example. I'm going to be doing a cover, a quote unquote cover for the game tomorrow, and so this is my rough sketch.
Ah.
So I'll just then take this, like set it to 10%, 20%, lock it,
Yeah.
and then just draw over it.
Yeah.
But that's about as much as I do for like underdrawing or that kind of thing. I usually just draw right in the program.
Mm-hmm.
And then I usually just use the blob brush because it's the closest thing to the brush tool in Photoshop that Illustrator has.
Yeah. But something that sets me back personally is I don't have a tablet to any of the Wacom or any.
Oh, you need to get one of them.
Yeah, it's on the ever-growing list of.
Dude, they're
tools.
cheap too. You really need to pick one of those up.
Well, I'm open to suggestions and recommendations.
I mean, you can get a basic Wacom for what, like $70?
Oh, I didn't realize they were that cheap.
Yeah, they're pretty cheap. Like the entry level is pretty cheap, and the entry level has still got some solid pressure sensitivity. Yes, I more than recommend investing in a Wacom tablet. I don't think I could do what I do without one of those things.
I've got a monoprice, even cheaper than the cheapest Wacom. I think it cost me $40 and change, and I think this one may have the 2048 levels. It's like a 10x6, and I'm halfway tempted just to buy a second one to have like a spare in case this one breaks down. But it works great. I use Mongo Studio, and I like it a lot.
Good to know. Now I'll go on. I mean, I've heard everyone talk about them and for years, but I've been upgrading other things like Maxwell, the computer I do everything on, and that was my big spend last year. So.
Now, see, what do you work on? Do you work on a Mac or a PC?
A PC, an HP, HP Pavilion. it's a laptop, but
Yeah, I actually bought the Cincy Companion, the Wacom tablet, which runs Windows Pro, the one that actually runs full programs. And despite some really annoying factory defects, I love this thing. You know you love something when it has died on you twice, and you've had to send it back to the manufacturer, and you still swear by it.
wow, yeah, that's dedication
Yeah. Yeah, no, I should.
or stupidity, but
Ha!
I would give you the benefit of the
Their
doubt.
customer service is the worst. Well, it's getting to be about that time,
Yep.
and my kids are home tonight, and they have been very considerate and being very quiet. But I think I might call it here, if that's all right with you guys.
That's fair.
Thank you both very much for joining me, and I hope to do it again next week.
It's been fun as usual.
Sure. And I think that's it for stepping epically. Sketching. Oh, I'm done. I'm just going to sign off.
Sure.
Holy moly. All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night.